the setup at the field here in Boston, Massachusetts. Done with a little bit of improvisation. You can see we have a different camera angle. We're on the end zone angle. That's because we have our field camera perched on top of the bus. Ironside on offense. Peter Pryl. Big huck to Jim Foster. Jim Foster getting up big over Tyler DiGirolamo. Ironside now down 2-3. Pryl not usually one to put the hucks up, but he's able to find Jim Foster. Jim Foster, Wisconsin alum. Hodag player in their 2007 and 2008 championship run. Bus now on offense. Thorne, Mickle, Haas, Matt Rader, Dylan Freechild, Camden Allison Hall, and Nick Lance. A bit of a upwind, downwind game. NexGen offense working up, going up the upwind field. Thorne being marked by Alex Simmons. Gets it to Mickle. Seth Reinhart on the mark. Pick call downfield in the stack. Jamie Quella marking Dylan Freechild. Reset to Thorne. Thorne gets it around to Mickle. Lance. Another pick downfield. Lance being marked by Rusty Ingold-Smith. Ingold-Smith, a teammate of NexGen player Tommy Lamar out of UNC Wilmington. And Nick Lance goes with a huck to Alex Thorne. Alex Thorne almost able to hold off the defender. Freechild going for this second attempt. Doesn't get it. Ironside defense now with a chance to break. Huck goes up from Ingold-Smith to Reinhart. And Rader getting a hand on it. Keeping the disc alive for the NexGen offense. Alex Thorne tapping the disc on the goal line. Thorne seeing Allison Hall. Allison Hall able to get past everyone, and he's in the end zone. Quite the huck from Alex Thorne to Camden Allison Hall. So for those of you who just came into the broadcast, we are having quite the day here with the NexGen Network in Boston. We had to switch fields because the turf on the stadium was deemed too dangerous for the players to be on. An old AstroTurf, well known for creating a lot of knee and ankle injuries. Not wanting to risk it, we moved it to the field right next to it. Wasn't sure if we were going to be able to stream this game live, but we got everything set up in the back of the bus. Once again, NexGen Network leaning on the crutch of the bus, the life and blood of this tour. early in the game. NexGen up 2 breaks. Ironside on offense, Prowl on the sideline. Up to Stubbs. Danny Clark. Rebels. Cooper. Stubbs. Marquette. Foul called on the stack. Pryle calling the foul on Tommy Lee. Marquette breaks it around to Rebels. Stubbs. Marquette. Pryle. Foster flips it up to Alex Cooper for the goal. Alex Cooper, first-year player on Ironside. He hails from Tufts University. Tufts University with a very good year this year. Alex Cooper very crucial in that. Big handler for the team. Already making an impact here on the Ironside offensive line. Bust to serve on offense. Malachek set to pull downwind. Offense for the bus. Alex Thorne, Jimmy Mickle, Matt Rader, Philip Haas, Dylan Freechild, Nick Lance, and Camden Allison Hall. Simmons just outside the goal line. Gets it to Malachek. And Ironside gets a break back, ties this game 4-4. Russell Wallach with the point. That assist coming from Brandon Muffin Malachek. Malachek, I feel like I'm saying this all the time, on that Wisconsin Hodag team in the 2007-2008 championship run. A veteran on this Ironside D-line. And most recently, a star for the Rhode Island Rampage. Malachek with the pull. Bus and a vert stack. Just gets tapped in. Haas. Another pick in the stack. Lance finds DiGirolamo. Kocher. Lance. Lance. Leading pass. Jannon in chase. Jacob Jannon. Nice bid right in front of our camera. He's unable to get it. He's down for a second. It sounded like he hit that ground hard. We're hoping he just got the wind knocked out of him. He's taking a second. Janin going to take an injury sub after going for that bid. Huck from Nick Lance going down to win. Takes it a little bit further than he wants him to. Eric Johnson subbing in for the bus. And it looks like George Stubbs got subbed in for Ironside. Big offensive player. They're going to want him on this point. Malachek deep immediately to John Hirschberger. Hirschberger can't get a hand on it, though. Bus back with the disc. Lamar. Lee. Lance on the sideline. Breaks around to Johnson. Haas hitting that dead side space. And DiGirolamo finding Lamar for the bus. Goes up 5-4. Philip Haas really breaking that offense open on a dead side backhand. And it looks like a timeout is called on the field. And the first time out of the game, we're going to take a break here, and we'll be back in a minute. Welcome back to Boston, Massachusetts. NexGen All-Star in their 6th stop of the tour. Finding their way back to the United States after being in Toronto, Canada for our last game. So far in this game, NexGen up a break. Now coming in on defense, Driscoll, Allison Hall, Rader, Freechild, Lamar, Mickle, and Johnson. Jimmy Mickle to be pulling into the wind. We have a bit of an upwind, downwind game. Jimmy's pull right on the sideline. Cooper centers it to Rebholz. Isolation play as Danny Clark goes deep. He's unable to get it. Prowl gets the bailout. Prowl to Capinos. Marquette. And Cooper hits Peter Prowl on the live side. Ironside ties it up at 5. They've finished 2nd in USAU Club Nationals the past 2 years, falling to Ironside in finals. A very strong club, long historied program. Back when Boston used to be dog. D-line for Ironside. Wallach, Ingold, Smith, Mahoney, Simmons, Dan Forrester, Jack Hatchett, and Christian Foster. Thorne with the disc in the middle of the field. Vert stack from the bus. Janin on the sideline. Haas. Haas sees DiGirolamo. DiGirolamo gets in front of Colin Mahoney. DiGirolamo getting a hand on the disc, coming through Mahoney as he goes for it, and he calls a foul. Arguing the contact obstructed his catch. Head observer Greg Connolly ruling no foul. Every game on the NexGen 2012 Tour is going to have observers. Today our observers Greg Connolly, Mike Siegel, Dan Siegel, and Mike Coffron. And Goldsmith picking the disc up. Breaks to Simmons. Simmons calling foul. Marked by Freechild. Uncontested foul. Coming in at 0. Ironside defense with the chance to get back on serve. Freechild getting a foot in front of it. Still in Simmons' hands. Count's going to go back to 0. And Philip Haas trying to hit Freechild on a quick turn. Russell Wallach is there to knock it down. Ironside defense still in possession. Wallach on the sideline. Backhand huck. Finds Christian Foster. Foster finding Hatchet in the end zone. Ironside breaks. Goes up 6-5, and we are now back on serve of this game. Tight game here in the first half. NexGen goes up 2 breaks early. Ironside gets 2 breaks back. Now up 6-5. Offensive line for NexGen. DiGirolamo, Driscoll, Mickle, Rader, Allison Hall, Lamar, and Lance. Brandon Malachek to pull. Lance fields it in his own end zone. Side stack play from NexGen first play. Now they're running. Jimmy Mickle, big backhand to Will Driscoll. And Malachek able to get in there, making enough disturbance for Driscoll to drop the disc. Malachek walking the disc up to the goal line. Chance for Ironside to break, 2 points in a row. Malachek in a high count, not liking what he sees, calls a timeout. Second timeout in the half. Ironside's going for their second break in a row. We're going to take our second break, and we will be back in just a minute. Welcome back to Boston, Massachusetts. NexGen All-Stars taking on Boston Ironside. Ironside taking timeout after they earned the disc on defense. And the first pass out of timeout, a bobbled disc. And Brendan Nichols calling a foul. Observer rules, no foul. NexGen is going to get possession right on their own goal line. Mickle with the disc, waiting to tap it in. And Mickle finds Driscoll. He'd missed the huck to Driscoll earlier, but in that point, it's a clean connection. Driscoll gets the goal. NexGen ties it 6-6. Offensive line for Boston Ironside. Adrian Banerjee, Alex Cooper, Alex Capinos, Matt Rebels, Peter Pryl, Josh Marquette, and George Stubbs. Alex Capinos and George Stubbs, 2 players that were on the tour in the 2011 NexGen All-Star Tour. Offsides called on NexGen. There's now an offsides for both teams. Ironside defense getting an offsides early in the game. Defensive line for the bus. Thorne, Lamar, Freechild, DiGirolamo, Lance, Johnson, and Camden Allison Hall. Pull from Freechild, falls out of bounds. Matt Rebels to take it at the brick mark. Ironside in a side stack. Isolation play. NexGen in the zone. Man on the handlers, junk downfield. Stubbs finds Pryl. Pryl gets it across the Rebels. Rebels to Cooper, and Cooper upfield to Josh Marquette. Goal for Ironside, extending their lead 7-6. Offensive line for the All-Stars: Driscoll, Haas, Mickle, Kocher, Rader, Janin, and Lee. Ironside D-line, if they're able to get this break, they'll take half, 8-6. Going into half, up a break with momentum, that's always huge for a team. Christian Foster, big bladey pull in this wind. Haas centers to Lee. Horizontal stack from the bus. Lee trying to break it across the middle of the field to Mickle. Just out of reach of Mickle. Forrester up to Reinhardt. Sorry, up to Russell Wallach. Wallach, 10 yards outside his end zone. Mahoney cutting on that live side. at Wallach. Finds Rusty Ingold Smith for the goal. Matt Rader playing great defense, almost able to poach off onto that, but just can't time his jump. Ironside takes half, 8-6. This is the first time NexGen hasn't taken half since their first game. Going against a strong Ironside team. They're going to have to recover and really come out to play in the second half. And for the halftime, we're going to take a 10-minute break. We'll be back with you for the conclusion of this game in Boston, Massachusetts. Welcome back to Boston, Massachusetts for the second half of the NexGen Tour. NexGen game versus the All-Stars and Ironside. Ironside up a break, breaking to go into half, 8-6. NexGen now on offense, coming into the second half. DiGirolamo, Haas, Thorne, Lee, Rader, Freechild, and Janin. Christian Foster pulling for Ironside. Thorne centers to Lee. Horizontal stack for the bus. And we're seeing a zone look from Ironside. They've fallen into man. Freechild directing traffic, gets it back to Haas. Thorne on the sideline. Back to Freechild. Lee. Freechild. Nice layout to keep that disc alive. Gets it up to Janin. Haas. Haas up line to Freechild. Freechild completely taking over this point. Playing the point guard, keeping control of the disc. Rader on the sideline. Rader tries to get the backhand break to Thorne. Just misses the target. Long field for Ironside as Ingold Smith taps the disc in. Forrester to Goldstein. Goldstein sees Mahoney going deep. Mahoney with steps, lays out, but can't get a hand on it. And Mahoney staying on the ground after his layout. That's the second time we've seen two offensive bids down on this end of the field. Taking injury timeouts. Mahoney limping off the field. Seth Reinhardt comes in for Ironside. Freechild tapping the disc in, Lance to pick up. Lance on the goal line. NexGen in a horizontal stack. And Nichols goes down on the upline cut. He's looking at his cleats. He's going to go out on an injury. Alex Simmons comes in. Alex Simmons, first-year player on Ironside this year. Comes from Wisconsin Hodags. Lee to tap the disc in. Lee gets it up to Janin. Thorne. Back to Janin. All the way across to Lance. DiGirolamo. Thorne. Freechild gets Lance. Thorne. Thorne to pit teammate Tyler DiGirolamo. DiGirolamo scores that one easy. After a turn from the bus, they're able to get it back. And Tyler DiGirolamo leading the team in scores in the first 4 games. Tyler DiGirolamo way above everyone with 12 goals. Next closest is Will Driscoll and Camden Allison Hall with 6. DiGirolamo dominating downfield. First point of the half, Bus offense able to put it in. Seeing their D-line for the first time. O-line for Ironside. Marquette, Capinos, Clark, Cooper, Rebels, Stubbs, and Pryl. Jimmy Mickle set to pull. Kocher, Driscoll, Lamar, Haas, Johnson, and Allison Hall. Blady pull fielded by Cooper. Goes up to Rebels. Clark in the middle of the field. Pryl. Stubbs bidding in front of Eric Johnson. Throws up a huck. And a fantastic grab by Tommy Lamar. He gets the D. Gets over Danny Clark. Lamar and Driscoll both there. No foul. NexGen D-line with a chance to break into this half. Lamar on the goal line. Mickle. Resets to Haas. Haas scoobers to Johnson. Nice break throw. Johnson to Mickle. Mickle. Stubbs almost getting a hand on that disc. Resets all the way to Kocher. Mickle. And Mickle, after seeing no offense moving out there on the field, takes a timeout. NexGen wanting to keep possession to take this break. On the first timeout of the second half, we're going to take a timeout too, and we'll be back in just a minute. Welcome back to Boston, Massachusetts. NexGen D-line calling a timeout after they're able to get a turn. D-line looking to get a break. Mickle handling the disc, being marked by Rebels. Haas on the sideline. Mickle. Johnson. Johnson trying to get Driscoll. But Capinos and Danny Clark are right there. That pass not getting far enough in front of Driscoll. Ironside on offense gets the disc again. Rebels picking the disc up. Ironside in a horizontal stack. Stubbs coming across the field. He gets it on the sideline. To Danny Clark. Resets to Stubbs. Cooper. Cooper sneaking that one past Mickle, getting it to Rebholz. Marquette in the middle of the field. Nice bid by Haas. Cooper retains possession. Marquette all the way around to Stubbs. Stubbs inside. Driscoll is there. Capinos. And Capinos goes up early. Gets the score. No, the observer is calling him out the back. Some discussion between Capinos and Driscoll. I think the ruling on the field was that Driscoll had forced Capinos out the back of the end zone. So even though Capinos had caught it out the back, if contact hadn't have been made, he would have landed in bounds. So the observers ruled that one a goal. Ironside offense able to keep serve. Goes up 9-7. NexGen Ultimate Tour, made possible by our sponsors, Discraft, Patagonia, and Elemental Technologies. Without those three, this bus would not be running. Nick Lance set the pull for offensive point for NexGen. Thorne, vert stack. Back to Thorne. Lance. Good bid from Russell Wallach. Still gets a free child. Free child rips it back into Janin. Janin outside his goal line. Resets to Raider. Free child. Free child finds Janin in the end zone. Free child fired up in this game. Big star player out of Oregon. Hits Jacob Janin out of Whitman. Regional rivals in college, but in high school, they shared the same field at South Eugene. NexGen down 1 in the second half. Down a break. D-line for the bus. Haas, Driscoll, DiGirolamo, Mickle, Johnson, Allison Hall, and Lamar. Offense for Ironside. Marquette, Banerjee, Foster, Rebholz, Cooper, George Stubbs, and Prio. Short pull. Rebholz picking up. Peter Prio goes deep to George Stubbs. George Stubbs showing off his speed, getting in front of Eric Johnson and catching that goal easy. And that's another dime ball huck from Peter Prio. We saw a flick huck from him earlier in the game. Star player out of Middlebury, normally known for being a strong cutter downfield, has really developed his throws. And he hits former Callahan winner George Stubbs. Ironside goes up 10-8. Offense for the bus: Lee, DiGirolamo, Lance, Raider, Freechild, Allison Hall, and Janin. Jacob Goldstein with the pull. Lance centers to Lee. Open pass to Raider. Raider immediately goes to DiGirolamo. And DiGirolamo reads that one. Quick point for the NexGen offense. Matt Raider out of Sockeye hitting Tyler DiGirolamo. A quick point for the bus. Gets the Ironside O-line back on the field. Down 1, NexGen needs a break to get themselves back into this game. And a timeout on the field. We're going to take a quick one, and we'll be back in a minute and a half. Welcome back to Boston, Massachusetts. NexGen and Ironside. Tight game in the second half. NexGen D-line polling, hoping to get a break and tie this game up. Offensive line for Ironside: Marquette, Capinos, Cooper, Rebholz, Prile, Stubbs, and Danny Clark. Rebholz in the middle of the field. Getting up to Capinos, marked by Mickle. George Stubbs calling the foul downfield on Tyler DiGirolamo. Cooper, it's Marquette. Resets to Stubbs. Stubbs calling a foul on the mark. Pivoting into DiGirolamo. Just gets tapped in. Stubbs gets it up to Rebholz. Sideline from the All-Stars being very loud. They realize how important this defensive point is late in the game. Defense ramped up on the field, trying to get up on this powerful program out of Boston. Prowl on the sideline. Centers to Marquette. Freechild gets a foot on it, but Matt Rebholz able to lay out and save that disc. He's on the sideline. Marquette hammers over the top to Stubbs. DiGirolamo is there, and he's able to get the D. Fantastic defense from the All-Stars. Nick Lance on the cone. Chance to break and tie this game. DiGirolamo. Mickle upfield. Mickle leads Freechild. That disc has some float. Freechild. Look at that happy man. Knocks the door off on the bus. NexGen breaks in the second half, ties this game at 10s. A great point from the All-Stars. Spikezilla showcasing creativity with that one. There's a side door open on the bus. He just knocks it right closed. All-Stars getting a break. Tie this game at 10s. Alex Thorne pulling for the bus. A tight game. Certainly the strongest opponent that the All-Stars have faced so far. Last year they were able to get a win against Ironside. A win in this game would be huge. Clark in the middle of the field to Foster. Cooper. Cooper hits Stubbs. Stubbs to Banerjee. Banerjee breaks it inside. Two cutters there. Neither of them able to get it. Alex Thorne walking the disc up to the line, being marked by Rebels. Gets to Haas immediately. Lamar. Haas. Haas throws to no one. Ironside gets the disc back. Rebels, middle of the field, unmarked. Pick called on the field. Some discussion about where the disc should come. Looks like it's going to go back to Rebels. Pick called on the pass to Rebels. Doesn't affect that pass, so it stays. Clark on the sideline. Up line to Rebels. After a turnover for the Ironside offense, they're able to get it back, put in that point, and go up 11-10. This game is on serve, 11-10 late in the game. The tightest game we've had so far in this tour. NexGen offensive line, Driscoll, Mickle, Freechild, DiGirolamo, Allison Hall, Rader, and Janin. D-line for Ironside, Seth Reinhart, Brandon Melichek, Colin Mahoney, Dan Forsetter, John Hirschberger, Christian Foster, and Brendan Nichols. Christian Foster out of cut, pulling the disc. Vertical stack from the bus, but they fall out of it when they recognize zone from Ironside. Zone look from Ironside, hoping to stop the deep game. Janin gets upfield to Rader. A foul called on the throw. Rader's going to get it back on the sideline. Raider being marked by Seth Reinhardt. Mickle around a free child. Ironside now in man. Free child, Scuba gets a Raider. Driscoll on the sideline. Driscoll has Janin wide open, has to get the hammer off. Janin scores, ties this game at 11-11. Janin somehow sneaking away from his defender. Driscoll seeing a wide open player. Gets the fastest throw off, that is the hammer. Finds Janin uncontested. Tight game, 11-11. All-Stars taking on last year's runner-up in the club championship, Ironside. Lamar, Johnson, Lee, Thorne, DiGirolamo, Raider, and Mickle. Offense for Ironside: Clark, Pryal, Marquette, Cooper, Stubbs, Rebels, and Foster. Stubbs in the middle of the field. Gets a scooper off to Foster. Cooper. Clark. Marquette. Foster on the sideline. Pryal able to toe that line. And Pryal over the top to Stubbs. Johnson's not going to catch up. Easy goal for the All-Star. Former NexGen player George Stubbs. Callahan winner out of Harvard. Certainly an exciting player to watch. Ironside up 12-11. Defense starting to feel the pressure late in this game. Lance, first throw going to Driscoll. Driscoll, perfect read. He's right outside the end zone. Forces through the mark, gets to Janin. Quick point from the NexGen offense. They tie this game 12-12. It is going down to the wire, folks. Nick Lance out of the vertical stack, hitting Will Driscoll deep. So far, both teams' offense have been looking pretty smooth. NexGen D-line late in this game, desperately needing a break. Lance, Haas, Johnson, DiGirolamo, Mickle, Raider, and Driscoll. Ironside offense: Clark, Foster, Cooper, Marquette, Rebels, Stubbs, and Pryal. Rebels Goes deep to Prile. Johnson is there. And Eric Johnson getting behind. Nice D on Peter Prile. Isolation play from Ironside, hoping to make that a quick point. But Eric Johnson, a fantastic defender. NexGen defense, chance to get a break. Lance around DiGirolamo. DiGirolamo rips a backhand to Driscoll. Driscoll marked by Clark. Danny Clark all over Will Driscoll on that one. Johnson outside, gets to Lance. Johnson. DiGirolamo. And a break for NexGen. They go up by a break, up on this game, 13-12. Can anyone even hear me out there? An exciting game. So sorry if we may have lost you for a second. Power went out on the bus. It's charging all of our equipment. We've got it back though. What you missed, NexGen getting the break, going up in this game 13-12. You saw the D by Eric Johnson. They worked it downfield. Big hug to Will Driscoll. Now defense from Bus. Hoping to get another break, go up by 2 points late in this game. Rebels in the field, gets it up to Prile. Foster. Rebels. Marquette. Cooper, marked by Janin. Danny Clark. Prile. Prile missed throw, hits the ground before it can hit Jim Foster. An error late in the game could be costly. Nick Lance on the goal line. Chance to go up by 2 breaks late in the game. Mickle getting it to Freechild. Freechild. Backhand to Tyler. Tyler DiGirolamo getting up big over Jim Foster. All the way around the field. Hits Matt Rader. NexGen goes up 2 breaks, 14-12. NexGen defense ramping up the pressure late in this game. Going up 14-12 against Ironside. A big game on this tour as NexGen faces their toughest opponent. Quite possibly toughest opponent until we get to the West Coast and take on world champion Revolver. But for now, NexGen in control. Ironside taking a timeout. Trying to regroup. They have to score this offensive point and then get a break to stay alive. NexGen offense looking smooth so far in this game. We'll see what kind of adjustments Ironside is making. NexGen 2012 Tour is made possible by our sponsors, Discraft and Patagonia. Our stream is possible from our good friends at Elemental Technology. And of course, we have to thank everyone who has supported NexGen since they started last year. and early this year with the NexGen Network. Lots of positive feedback from you as the viewers. NexGen D-line on the field after getting 2 breaks in a row to go up 14-12. Haas set to pull. Lee, Allison Hall, Driscoll, Lamar, Johnson, and Kocher. Offensive line for Ironside. Foster, Pryal, Marquette, Banerjee, Stubbs, Rebholz, and Cooper. Cooper centers to Rebholz. Marquette, unmarked on the sideline, finds Stubbs. Stubbs goes to Pryal deep. Allison Hall trying to catch up, but a beautiful flick from George Stubbs, finding Peter Pryal. Peter Pryal, big score for Ironside. Out of Little School, Middlebury College. He's been making a name for himself on the club scene, completely dominating last year's club championship. Here late in the game, keeping the Ironside offense into it. Ironside down 13-14. NexGen on game point, on offense. D-line for Boston, Colin Mahoney, Rusty and Goldsmith, Seth Reinhart, Jack Hatchett, Dan Forsetter, Russell Wallach, and George Stubbs. George Stubbs pulling. Stubbs trying to bring some defensive power into this line. Freechild. Lance. Raider catches that disc in front of Thorne. Mickle. Mickle leading Thorne. And that goal is going to count. Ironside looking for a travel on the field. They're not going to get it. NexGen coming up with a big win over Boston Ironside. They're excited. The strongest opponent they've seen. Close game, tightest game we've had so far on this tour. But the All-Stars pull it out. What started as a very hectic day here for the NexGen Network, scrambled together a field and a production team. We are happy that we are able to get you this game live. This NexGen gets a big win over Ironside. We'd like to thank our observers, Dan Siegel, Mike Coffrin, and Greg Connolly for doing a great job this game. Vin Bowie doing the production. Cameraman Chuck and Red. As for myself, I am Topher Davis. Find us in New York for our next broadcast. Thank you for watching.